I am so excited about today's video. My good friend Doug came up with this great idea where he would build a structure, send it to me, I would add to it, and then send it back to him, and we would go back and forth until we felt the model was complete. Now, to make it even more incredible, we are going to auction off the model when it's finished. And it'll be through eBay, and all of the money will go towards the Humane Society. So I will be giving 110% of myself to this project to try to raise as much money as I can for the Humane Society. Now, please do me a favor and check out Doug's video on his YouTube channel at Fos Scale Models, which is part 1 of this video, where he goes into detail showing how he built this structure. And trust me, that video is very valuable. It has so many great tips and techniques in it. You're not going to want to miss it. So again, it's over at his YouTube channel at Fos Scale Models. And while you're there, subscribe to the channel. He has so many great videos showing tips and techniques. All right, well, let's get started on this project. So after looking at Doug's building, I did a quick drawing just to give myself maybe a starting point. So as you can see, I've decided to do a large brick building behind it. So to start with, we're going to build this structure over here to the right, and then we'll focus on this one that's directly behind the building. Okay, so to build our structure, we're going to be using laser cut wood from Monster Model Works. And you can see they offer pretty large sheets of brick. They offer a decorative trim, so it's in layers. You build it so that it gives you a nice 3D effect. And then we have corner pieces. And let me cut this open quick and show you what it is. So I have doors and windows that go on this wall. So what I first did was take a piece of paper and make myself a pattern of the wall. And then I drew how high I wanted the doors and exactly where I wanted the windows. Now you can see I had to add trim. After we cut this out, we have to put trim around the windows, then insert the windows. Next, we need to brace our walls, and you can get bracing like this from Fos Scale Models. Now, we want to put a roof on top of this. The roof is going to be lower, slightly lower. So, let's go 3/16. So we need 3 pieces that are right below that line. Now let's do the side wall, and I'm not putting any windows in this in case Doug wants to add on to the side of the structure. So we're going to measure down 3/16 from the top. On this one, we're going to bring that trim, or bring the bracing in 1/8 of an inch. And this one we can go all the way to the edge. Now I just realized that I've already made a mistake. So these fit together like that. And then we put our corner trim on there and it looks nice. But that should extend out all the way to the edge of the trim. So I'm going to have to add to the top of that. Okay, let's get our corner piece glued on. These corner pieces are really nice because then you don't have to cut your walls at a 45-degree angle to make your corners. So then when that fits up against it, you can see how nice a corner that is. Now we're just going to have to add what we cut off on there. Here's where we're at so far on the project. Next, what I'm going to do is spray these with a chalk paint, and it's Colonial Ivory. So it's a kind of an off-white, a cream color. I'll completely spray all the brick and then sponge on brick colors over the top of that. Then we'll go in with some watered down joint compound and go over some of the areas to give it a real aged brick look. Okay, so the wood really soaks up the paint. This took me 3 coats, and I went really light though with each coat. Now the can says that it takes 20 to 25 minutes to dry, and then you can handle it in an hour. So I'm actually going to let these dry for a couple hours before I start to sponge on the brick color. Okay, so I have all of my brick colors out. We have French wine, which is just a sort of a dark red, antique maroon, burnt sienna, brick red, pumpkin orange, terracotta, and burnt orange. So we'll just be using a combination of these. But first we're going to get a base down of burnt sienna. Okay, so this is probably the only time where you actually want to use the sponge pretty flat. It can be slightly rounded, but you want to go pretty flat with it, because you don't want the paint getting in the grout lines. And it's okay if it does, because we're going to go back in with some joint compound. Okay, now I'm going to switch to French wine. Now each color that we put on, we're probably going to go less. And we're really just going to do a combination of all of them. Okay, next I'm going in with the burnt orange. Now I've put on the orange color and the terracotta color. And as you can see, I just keep using the same sponge. So now it's really going to be just using all the colors and slowly building up layers until I get the look that I'm happy with. And we'll probably even do some dry brushing. So as you can see, I'm just mixing the colors right on my palette. And very lightly, we're just hitting the top of those bricks. So this is a very long process. Just take your time just to build up the colors very slowly so you're not getting too much paint into the cracks. Okay, we're getting very close. I'm really liking how this looks. Now I'm using it's an old ratty brush. And it's just random. Now I'm just coloring some dark bricks here and there. I'm using antique maroon. Now what we're going to do is we're going to seal this. We're going to spray a dull coat over it and let it dry for a long time. And then we're going to go in with some joint compound. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do some weathering to it. So I just sprayed it with a dull coat. And this is Testers. Now we'll let this dry for probably a couple of hours. And then we'll come back and put some joint compound on it. Okay, so we let the dull coat dry for a few hours, maybe as many as like 5 hours. Now we're going to weather this and add some more mortar with joint compound. And you can see I just put a little bit on this tray. And now we're just going to add some water to it. Still pretty soupy. That's what you want. It really tones down all the colors and really just blends it all together. So you want to go pretty extreme with your colors and then also with your pattern. Because as you can see, when you apply this, it doesn't look as extreme anymore. Now you can take a paper towel and wipe this also. I don't know if you can tell the difference. Now I'm just taking a dry brush Now, if you think there's too much white on there, you can always just dip your brush in water, and it's really wet now. And you can take off some more of that. And because we put a clear coat over that brick, the orange is not bleeding into the mortar. All right, I think that looks really good. And again, let me show you the difference. So you could leave it like this. That would be fine. It actually looks more like new brick. And you can still see some of the white mortar in it. And then this is more of an aged brick. Now as it dries, it's going to turn more white. So then just dip your brush in water again and wash off the face of the brick. Okay, I think this is looking great. It's a lot of work, it really is. You have to be very patient with this technique. You have to, first when you spray paint it, again you have to put probably 3 coats because the wood really absorbs the paint. And then you have to let that dry really good before you do the next step, which is putting on all the different shades of acrylic paint over it. Then let that dry. Then spray a clear coat over it and let that dry almost for an entire day. Then come in and do your wash of joint compound, which sort of blends it all together and really tones down the brick and gives it an aged look. So I just glued in all of the trim, and it's all hand cut from strip wood. Now I want it to look like the paint is chipping, so I'm going to do some dry brushing with both iced coffee and fawn. So I just put some acetate on the back of the doors for the windows. But they're super clear. You can't really see. So if you want to fog it up a little bit, take some super fine sandpaper and just kind of go in a circular motion. And it's probably hard to see now, but it actually fogs the window. So now I'm just simply doing some weathering using a shader from Ammo called Dirt. And I'm just getting to the corner of all the trim and then streaking some down. Very subtle. Now we can get our doors glued in. Okay, so we've got the windows all put in. Okay, for the roof, I used chipboard, and I also used chipboard for the back. Okay, now we'll send this model back to Doug and see what he can add to it. So be sure to visit his YouTube channel at Fos Scale Models for part 1 of this video, and then also for part 3, which will be coming out in a week or so, to see what he adds to this. And then he'll be sending it back to me. So Again, this is such an exciting project, and I've learned so much in today's video on scratch building, and hopefully you did too. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, and be sure to subscribe to Fos Scale Models channel. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.